It's recording, so off you go.
Fantastic. Okay, welcome to the Year 5 transition event for all you Year 4 parents and children. As I said earlier, you're more than welcome to keep your cameras on, but if you would not like your video, your faces to be shared with other parents or with other students in the school, then I would advise you to turn your camera off. It'd be really good if you could mute yourselves throughout the duration. And if you have any questions at all, it would be really nice if you put them in the group chat and type them out, because we have Miss Clark and Miss Eaton who have joined us today from Year 5, and they are available in the chat to answer any questions that may pop up throughout the meeting. So I'll be leading. My name is Mr. Waterworth. I should have probably mentioned that right at the start if you didn't know already. And Mr. Cooper, who most of you surely know, is in the meeting as well. And he will be joining us and answering some questions that you may have later on in the presentation. So let me just share my screen. Can we all see the screen? Welcome to Year 5. Fantastic. Okay, so yes, I can't quite believe that the year has almost finished. What another quick school year we have had. So Year 4 for you guys is only 14 days left, and then you finish the school year. For us, Year 5, we've got 14 or 13 days actually. 13 days, I'm losing track of time. 13 days left after today, and then we will pass the Year 5s on to Year 6, and all you lovely Year 4s will come up to Year 5. So, just a bit of an overview for go-to people. We have got Mr. Cooper, who is our primary assistant principal, and we've got Miss Boyd, who is our head of Year 5. Now, you may be wondering why I'm talking and Miss Boyd is not talking. It is because Miss Boyd has recently had a baby boy, and she is on maternity leave. So currently I'm acting as head of year for Year 5, and hence the reason why you are hearing my voice and seeing me rather than Miss Boyd. I have shared our email addresses at the end. However, I would advise against emailing Miss Boyd for now, as obviously she's enjoying her time with her newborn, and it's probably better if you did have any queries or concerns, if you direct them towards me, which I'll put my email on at the end, and I'll talk through that later on. So they're the go-to people in Year 5, and what should you expect? So one of the main differences from Year 4 to Year 5 is we have a big push on independence and responsibility. So rather than the teachers being responsible for the children, bringing everything that they need to school, going where they should be going within school, or being on time and things like that, there's an increase in independence from Year 4 to Year 5. And that's one of the biggest changes from lower key stage 2 to upper key stage 2. And another change that is not a dramatic, but it is definitely a change that I should make you aware of, is the curriculum. Now in Year 5, the curriculum does become more challenging. Okay, the objectives get harder. There's an increase in the amount of objectives that we have to cover, and as you know, as you move through school, the curriculum does genuinely get more challenging. And I would say that the step from Year 4 to Year 5, there is a bit of a jump in challenge, but as always, the teachers are fantastic, and we are here to facilitate in any way possible to make sure that your students and your children are able to meet the demands of Year 5. Now, some of this information will not be new to you, but it's a really good recap. It will be new to our new parents and students. But we use the Padlet. This is used for daily notices. Everything goes on the Padlet, okay? And I'm pretty sure that will be the case in year 4 currently. We have our home learning menu, which is checked weekly by teaching staff and teaching assistants. We have our reading passports, which I'm sure you have in year 4, which are checked daily to ensure that the children are reading for 20 minutes per day, because this is vitally important for their growth. We have a spelling test each week. And in year 5, we have a massive push on accelerated reader. And we have a celebration assembly every single week where children can participate in and be involved in either being a 100%er, a person who has quizzed on the most books, and a person who has read the most amount of words. And Miss Wendy, who's a TA in year 5, is amazing, and she's created a display, and this display is just outside the year 5 area, and the children's faces are put onto the display depending on their achievements throughout the week on accelerated reader. And as I say, this is something that will continue into next year, because we believe that reading is fundamental to the learning gains for the children. And not only that, I always say to my kids, the more you read, the more you learn, the better your writing becomes as well. So we have a big celebration on accelerated reader every week, which I'm hoping that the year 4 pupils will be really excited to get involved in. We build on the iPad use from year 4. So throughout the year, the children take part in online safety lessons to ensure that they know the ins and outs of using their iPads and working online. The children can use iPads in school, okay, once they've signed our WEC iPad contracts. These are basically a set of rules that we all agree to when using our iPads, and I'll share some of the examples on the next slide. I must stress that children only use iPads in lessons when they've been told to. They are not used all the time, and they're only used to enhance their learning, okay? So they are not used in all lessons. Now, I understand during remote learning, this has probably been a little bit different, because all of the work that has been accessed through iPads. But whether or not we return to school in September and how much percentage we return to school, we as teachers will consider and think about how we therefore use the iPads moving forward in school, because I know that the use of them has been heightened during the remote learning period, and once we go back to school, it'll be much more about that. Well, hopefully when we go back to school, it'll be much more about that face-to-face contact and making sure that we're not overloading them with the use of their iPads. So we are a bring your own device to school, as most of you will be fully aware. It's really important that the iPad's got a protective case so that we avoid any droppages and smashes of screens. It is only used for educational purposes. I have put on the slide here in the iPad some apps, okay, that may be beneficial for the children when they move into year 5. I couldn't fit them all in, but there's some apps on the outside as well on the right that may also be beneficial to the children when they move into year 5, things like Kahoot, QR Reader, Socrative, Poplet, Show Me, Prodigy, Video Scribe, Seesaw. These are all apps that I'm sure most of the students are using already, but it would be ideal that over the summer periods to download these apps if you haven't already. And what we will do is we'll share an app list on the Padlet so that you are aware of which apps the students need. Communication. Okay, so communication is such an important tool at school, whether that be through teaching staff to parents and students and teachers. And we've got an overview of how we communicate at school. So we've got our Padlet. So that works as your communication. So you'll get your home learning, your newsletters. It'll have an overview of your curriculum. It'll have web links. It'll have your timetables on. It'll have your home learning from Arabic and Islamic. So the Padlet is more year-based, okay? D6, this is an app that is more whole school communication. So these are alerts and reminders and letters that are from the school, but as a whole school basis rather than a year group basis. We still continue to email, so emails are there, and we individually email parents, or we send group emails to parents, direct messages, to ensure that they are aware of certain communication, or if we want to communicate about how well your child is progressing, or if you would like, or if we'd like to set up a meeting where we could offer some support in the future. We have our face-to-face as well. So this is, again, individual communication. It's important that these are booked. Obviously, parents are really busy, so are teachers, but we can arrange face-to-face. Obviously, at this moment in time, face-to-face is virtually, but you can still book those face-to-face meetings with your teachers via Teams currently if you wish to speak with them about anything. And we have an open door policy, so you can email at any time. You can arrange a meeting at any time as long as it's within school hours, but we will endeavour to reply to you within 24 hours at all times. Instagram, so in year 5 we have an Instagram page, and we like to share updates with parents. This could be pictures of the children working in class, it could be examples of work, it could be them team working or taking risks. So Instagram, it's really good to follow our Instagram page because there's lots of pictures and videos and stories that we post throughout the whole entire year that you can access and see how your child is getting on. We have Facebook as well, which again is for whole school communication, but that a little bit more different to D6, where obviously Facebook social media, so you get more of the pictorial side of things, and you get, if they're involved in squads, PE squads, learning photos and videos, again, we share those via Facebook. We have our GEMS Connect app, which is where we share our school reports, where attendance is located, where we talk about booking for school buses and fee payments. That is on our GEMS Connect app. And obviously, we can initiate phone calls if we would like to communicate that way rather than through email, because sometimes it's a lot easier to communicate via phone when you're speaking to someone there and then, rather than a long email chain. So sometimes it's important that we do use a phone to speak to parents as well. Now you can see on the left hand side I've put year 5 Padlet link with a QR code for summer learning. I wouldn't go on that just yet because that's currently the year 5 Padlet that we're using. However, at the end of this academic year, we will share the Padlet link with you all so that you've got the summer learning, so that the children can access some of the learning throughout the summer period. And the last thing about the communication, I have got a little square in the bottom there, a rectangle with WhatsApp. Now I know that parents do have WhatsApp groups, and it's really important to have these WhatsApp groups so that you don't miss out on vital information. However, I would just say that if you have got any concerns or any issues at all, the first person you should be contacting is your class teacher, as they will be able to solve the issue there and then, rather than it may be escalating through WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is great, okay? It's great to stay in touch with other parents and students via WhatsApp, and if you want to arrange play dates with other parents. However, I would really advise that if you have got a concern or a query, that you do ask your child's next class teacher, as they will be able to solve this instantly. The Padlet, again, this is the Padlet, and I'm sure most of you will be well aware of what the Padlet looks like. It'd be very similar across year groups, but this is what the year 5 one is at the minute. We've got our newsletter and notices. We share our spellings. We share our skills boost on there, whether it be My Maths, whether it be through Pobble 365, whether it be through some SPAG activities. We have all our home learning for all subjects, Arabic, Islamic, French, that will be posted on here. We have useful links to websites. We have some calculation policies. everything that you need to know about year 5 is in one place. It will be on the Padlet, and that will be your go-to next year when you begin year 5 for both parents and students. Now, I thought it would be really nice to share some topics. I don't want to share everything because I want some things to be a surprise for the children. But I thought, well, what would be great is to share actually some of the topics that we will be covering next year. So in science, we look at Earth and space, we look at forces, we look at properties of materials, we do make a mini explosion, we look at animals including humans, and we look at living things and their habitats. And as you can see, there's some of my children from my class there. They have done videos, but I've just done some still images of them carrying out an experiment, one to do with water resistance and lemons. And I can see at the bottom, we've got a student in my class who is about to create a mini explosion with her water bottles there. But I don't want to say too much about that because I want you to be excited for that for next year. In connected curriculum, we look at the ancient Greeks. I know you look at the Romans now in year 4. So next year you'll look at the ancient Greeks and you'll focus heavily on the Olympic Games, okay? And how the Olympic Games have changed over time. So any of you who enjoy PE, you will specifically like that topic. And what we do is we create an innovative Olympic Games for heroes, okay? And heroes are your parents. So hopefully next year, obviously we're yet to be confirmed, but if and when school does open, hopefully we can enjoy our mini Olympic Games. We take risks at all times. We look at the Anglo-Saxons, we look at the physical and human features of South America and compare that to both the UK and Dubai. And another really fantastic topic that we cover is our eco-warriors topic. And you can see some images there of some of the children's designs that they have created, and they have been innovative, trying to create new products that will help the environment, whether that be to reduce carbon dioxide within the air, whether that be to reduce the amount of plastic in the ocean. And you'll see that during our remote learning period, we had to think a little bit more creatively due to the fact that we don't have access to all the recyclable materials during lockdown. So as you can see on one side, Softy, that was created from scratch. However, one child from my class used an app to create his product there, which was a fantastic product to limit the use of CO2 in the air. So that's just a little bit of an overview about what to expect topics-wise in year 5. A typical timetable for year 5 is very similar to that of year 4. We have English and maths daily. We still have PE and hopefully swimming, albeit if we're back at school. Not much changes in terms of the timetable. It's very similar to that of year 4. What can you do at home? So the summer months are upon us, okay? As I say, we've only got 13 weeks left. So I've just outlined a couple of ideas about what might help over the summer period in order to prepare your students for year 5, and especially now with us not sitting our GL assessments this summer period, we're now going to sit those in the autumn term. So it's really important that over the summer months that the children are continuing to access their learning. So reading 20 minutes per day, whether this be through Read Theory, whether it's shared reading between yourselves and them, whether it's independent, they could read magazines, books, non-fiction books as well. If you get a chance to visit libraries, I'd really encourage that too. For maths, the 4 calculations are so important, and knowing these and being secure in these. So addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Telling the time, really important. I would definitely advise a watch. Having students having a watch and being able to wear a watch and read the time and tell you the time is really important. looking at money. So when you're purchasing things, you can talk to your children about how much things are cost, whether that be with receipts or other things like that. When you're cooking, can they weigh things out? Can you ask them problems? Can you ask them questions that relate to problems? Can they convert between measurements, whether that be milliliters, liters, grams, and kilograms? And one of the main important things is times tables. So by the end of year 4, all students should be secure in their times tables up to 12 by 12. Okay, so when they enter year 5, all students should be secure in their times tables. So looking at that and continuing with that at home, you know, if you're ever driving somewhere, or you're just eating your dinner or your breakfast, it'd be really good just to ask them, what's 3 times 3? And then they can answer it. Or what's 5 times 5? And they can answer that. And yeah, that's a really good thing to do. With writing, it's great to continue writing, whether they're writing lists or instructions. They can write a letter. They could write a letter to their teacher, their future teacher, and explain all about them. A diary is a really simple tool to keep going over the summer periods. I'm not saying they need to write every day, but you know, a couple of extracts per week would be really handy, and they don't have to be long. But keeping a diary to keep that writing going forward. And a really fantastic website, if you don't know about this already, is Pobble 365. This is a website where each day there is a brand new picture, okay? And this the new picture each day has got several tasks based on the picture, whether it's to do with spelling, whether it's to do with grammar, whether it's to do with reading and using their inference skills, or whether it's to do with writing and continuing the next part of the story. Pobble 365, I'd really advise you noting that website down, as it's a great website to encourage English skills moving forward. And last but not least, mentioning all those above, it's really important to be positive reinforcement at all times, celebrate effort, reward effort that the children put in, and this will be throughout this year, continuing by you over the summer periods, and then obviously with us entering year 5, we will expand on the positive reinforcement, and we always celebrate effort. So that comes to the end of the presentation. I have put any questions there. I can't actually see if any questions have been posted in the chat. But what I will just reiterate is, obviously Miss Boyd is the current head of year 5, okay? But she's on maternity leave. I have put her email at the bottom of the page. However, I would refrain against emailing Miss Boyd, please. And if you could, if you email myself, if you have any questions or any queries over the next few weeks, summer periods, and going into the next academic year, just so that we're not, Miss Boyd doesn't have to worry about school during her time when she's off with her newborn son. Okay, I'm just going to stop sharing, and I'm hoping that, oh, I'm just seeing if we have some questions in here. Will you also please share this presentation later? Yes, this presentation will be shared with all parents. It'll be shared with all new parents too. Yes, so that's a good question. The year 5 teacher and TA all say the same as this year now. At the minute, it's difficult to say with enrolments and re-enrolments for the next academic year. So it is to be confirmed, but it's something that the leadership team in primary are working on currently. And as soon as this has been confirmed, they will share the information to you. If you have got any questions, please post them in the chat. Myself, Mr. Cooper, and Mr. Cooper are here to answer any questions. If you do have any, or if you need anything clarifying. There we go. Mr. Cooper, when can we expect the books and uniforms to be delivered?
Books, I assume we're referring to student books. So if well, we're hoping to be in school in September, then obviously books will be there ready for the children. Uniforms, you'll have to get in contact with our supplier, and they'll be able to share with you when uniforms will be ready. Because obviously that's slightly separate service. So if you get in touch with the supplier from where you ordered the uniforms, and they'll be able to tell you when the uniforms and how they will be delivered. No
Thank you. Is there any more questions anybody wants to ask? I hope everyone's excited for the new year. No, we're all good. Well, in the meantime, if
any restrictions related to COVID-19 in September. So everything's yet to be decided. Obviously, we're waiting for the KHDA and the Dubai government to decide exactly what September will look like. As soon as we have further information from the government and KHDA in terms of what to expect in September, we will then begin to finalise plans. Obviously, that planning has already started. We're looking at lots of different options and how we can ensure that we're ready for whatever September will look like, which is obviously a difficult challenge because we're trying to make guesswork. But our priority, as always, whether we're in school or out of school, is making sure that our students are safe and happy. And that's what we're making our plans. That's what's informing our plans. So as soon as we know what September will look like, we'll share that with you and give you further details. But ultimately, right now, we're just waiting for the KHDA and the UAE government and the Dubai government to give us clarity in what September will look like. And as soon as we know, then of course you will know as well.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. If you do have any further questions, as I say, you can email me anytime, send them across if you've got any concerns or you'd like anything, any updates, please just ask. I'm more than happy to help at any time. Well, I say at any time during school hours. But if that's all the questions, thank you for attending. Oh, we've got one more question actually. To go through on the subject. I presume you mean about the Padlet. Any links to go through on subjects during summer vacation. We'll be sharing all, we'll share the Padlet link, which will have all access to all the learning for the summer vacation that the children can access. So all of the subjects will be shared with you at the end of this academic year via the Padlet, so that children can access the learning during the summer vacation. Okay, if we haven't got any more questions, I will round off the meeting. Thank you again for attending. It's been great to. Obviously, I've only seen a couple of you, but it's been great. Oh, we've got one more question. Do you have any special programs for kids that are still learning English? So the work that we set over the summer periods will be differentiated, and we will have tasks that are directed towards children who are still learning English language. So please don't worry about that. They will be able to access some of the activities that we provide and present on the Padlet from our ELL team at school. So we will have some aspects of activities that will help and support you in this for those children who are still currently learning English language. But again, thank you again for attending. Hopefully I've been able to answer all your questions. Year 5 is not being biased, but it's one of my favourite year groups. So all the students should be really, really looking forward to starting year 5. Only then 2 more years of primary school left. But we can't wait for September. I know Miss Eaton and Miss Clark are thoroughly looking forward to it too, and so are myself and Mr. Cooper. But as I said, any questions, just send me an email and I will get back to you. Thank you again, everybody, and speak to you soon.
See you later, guys.